Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us this Monday morning. This is our weekly thought of Dhamma. This is a new program that we're starting in the new year so that we can have a nice thought of Dhamma to begin our week, something that we can think about and contemplate on. So we'll always have Dhamma in our thoughts and seeing how we can apply Dhamma throughout our day and throughout our week. So we'll be making our way through a volume that's in the Pali Canon called the Dhammapada. It's a very small volume of 423 verses of teachings of the Buddha, and they're wonderful and exciting teachings. I'm sure many of you have read it or have heard of it. If you haven't read it yet, I strongly encourage that you read it. So we'll be making our way through each of the chapters and finding different verses that we can think about and see how we can apply it through our week. So we'll begin with the first two verses of the first chapter, which is called Pairs. So there's two verses usually that we'll be going through in this chapter at least. All actions are led by the mind. Mind is their master. Mind is their maker. Act or speak with a defiled state of mind, then suffering follows, as the cartwheel follows the foot of the ox. All actions are led by the mind. Mind is their master. Mind is their maker. Act or speak with a pure state of mind, then happiness follows, as your shadow follows you without departing. So what can we get from these two verses? What comes to my mind is what we think we become. If our mind is constantly filled with negativity, if we constantly pay attention to our negative thoughts, it'll eventually come out in our actions and in our words. It's a teaching that the Buddha often pays attention to, he often points to. If we constantly, with an unguarded mind, feed our negativity, our greed, our hatred, our ignorance, our selfishness, all forms of negativity, we make things harder for ourselves. But we don't just make things harder for ourselves, we often make it harder for others. We want it to get out because it's heavy. It's a heavy burden to keep in. So we try to let it out through our words and through our actions. So this is just like the cart that the ox is pulling. It's filled with heavy merchandise. We're dragging it around with us, pulling it along. But it doesn't have to be that way. It's our mind. It's something that we do have control with. We don't have a lot of control in a lot of things in our lives, but our mind is something that we can have control over. We can stop the thoughts that are harmful to us, that lead to dukkha, and dukkha for other people as well. We can fill it with thoughts of metta, loving kindness, thoughts of compassion, generosity, all kinds of wholesome thoughts. These are not tangible things. These are thoughts. We generate the negative thoughts in our mind, so why not the positive? And when we do this, when we generate these wholesome, friendly, kind, pure thoughts, they make us feel good. The unwholesome thoughts, the thoughts of dukkha, the thoughts of suffering, cruelty, all those negative thoughts, they're heavy. But the thoughts of loving kindness, as I'm sure many of you who have practiced metta practice, you get that sense of lightness, that sense of inner glowing. So through this week, think about these words from the Dhammapada, think about the words that I've said, and see where your mind goes. When you come across someone who might not be that pleasant, Sure, they might not be that great. They might say the wrong things. They might they might say nasty things or mean things. But that's their fault. That's their own problem. But if we give into their negativity and we generate thoughts of negativity for ourselves, lashing out at them mentally, we're making so much more trouble for ourselves. So let's see how we can let these thoughts of negativity go and feel that lightness of being by just letting that thoughts of negativity, the dukkha in our mind, see what happens if we let it go. So I wish you all the best for this week, and I'll be seeing you next Monday. So thank you, everybody.